Okay, today we're talking about plotting points and graphing lines. The most important thing to start with is a coordinate pair. If you learn one term in this lecture, it's going to be coordinate pair. A coordinate pair is a set of two numbers in parentheses. So an example would be 2, 1. The first number is always x. Okay. The second number is always y. And you won't learn this into college, but if you had to guess, when there's a third number, what do you think it is? Z. Yeah. Okay. So mathematicians are pretty logical. This is called a coordinate plane. We're going to put our coordinate pair on our coordinate plane. But in order to do that, we have to know two things. We have to know that this is called the x-axis, and this is called the y-axis. The way that I remember this, even to this day, the way that I remember the y-axis is think of the letter y, right? Y has this long tail going down. And if you continued its tail down, you would get the y-axis. Okay? So just picture that y tail going down as the y-axis. Okay? That's how I remember it. I know there's a lot of other ways. And then the x-axis is the horizontal axis. Right? You could almost think of this axis as forming an arrow out of the x, right? I'll draw it over here. If we were to keep drawing this axis, it goes right into the arrow part of our x. To me, that's not quite as helpful. I just remember this one's the y, it goes down like that, and the x is the other one. Because there's only two of them. So
one thing I think about with the x is like the x marks the spot on the map, and the spot's always on the ground, right? So x is always on the ground.
Nice. Gideon.
If we're working with, say, like three-dimensional coordinate planes, would z be up and down?
Z would be coming out of the board.
Yeah,
It would be
if we were
like
working with
horizontal.
that would be z then.
Z would be coming out of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's our coordinate plane. Now, if we're going to put a coordinate pair on a coordinate plane, we just take one part of it at a time and then kind of combine it. So there's a couple things that people sometimes do wrong here, and I want to talk about that. The first thing is people will go, oh, so my x is 2. 1, 2. Okay? My y is 1. 1. Okay, I did it. The trick is that you have to do both for the same point. So x is 2 over 2, y is 1, up 1, and there's my point. Okay? So the point 2, 1 would be right here. 1, 2 over, and 1 up. And I could label this point like this, and I could label my axis like this. So that's a point on a coordinate plane. Yeah.
Don't you think we should probably do this on graph paper?
You could do this on graph paper if you want to. I want you to take notes in your notebook though.
Okay.
So when you do your homework, you might use graph paper. Okay. It's just nice to keep all your notes in one place, nice and organized. Actually, I'm not going to erase this. So, how come we have such a big coordinate plane? Let's label this whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, could just draw a new one in your notes. 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. How am I going to label this axis? This is just like a number line. Okay? So going right is positive, going left is negative. So this point here is 0. It's called 0, 0. So we have -1, -2, -3, -4. I'm just going to go to -5.
Does it matter,
And then going down the y-axis, I'm going to do the same thing. -1, -2, -3, -4. Yeah.
does it matter which quadrant, we put the coordinates in? Like,
You mean like which one, where I write these?
Yeah, cause there are 4 quadrants.
You know, I think there's probably some rule for that, but I don't know it.
It does, because if it's negative one,
Well, no, he's just saying, could I have written this -1 over here?
No,
Like this?
no.
I,
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
right? I don't really know if that, I don't really know like if there's a rule about that, to be honest with you. So for your homework, it's totally fine to do it. Whatever way.
And also.
I know that typically these ones are written outside of the first quadrant. So let's talk about that. This here, you guys see how these two axes, the y-axis and the x-axis, divide this grid into 4 parts. There's 4 sections. Does everyone see that?
Yeah.
Whoever named these is crazy. I don't know why they named them this way. This one is 1. That makes sense, right? We have positive numbers. This seems like a good place to start. It's all positive. Y's are positive. X's are positive. This is the coordinate. I mean, this is the quadrant that you've used a lot. When you do a graph, like in elementary school, you're using just this part. So it makes sense for that to be 1. But guess which one is 2? Yeah, this one over here. How often do you see 1, 2 like that? Almost never. Right? It's like counterclockwise. It's going around counterclockwise. I bet there's some reason for this, but I don't know it. I just know that this is 1, this is 2. And then you can kind of follow a pattern from there. This one is going to be 3,
4.
and this one is going to be 4. And usually they're numbered with these Roman numerals, right? So this is the Roman numeral 1. What is this Roman numeral?
5.
That's 5. And so then we do like 5 minus 1. This is the Roman numeral 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. And let's just think a little bit about these quadrants. If I had a point like this, 2, 4, which quadrant is that going to be in? Quadrant 1, because both numbers are positive. So I'm going to go over 2, up 4. That would be my point. What if I had a coordinate like this? -1, 3. Which quadrant would that be in? Quadrant 2. My x is negative, so I'm moving this way. But my y is still positive, so I'm moving up. What if I had a point like this? -5, -4. This is going to be in quadrant 3 because I'm moving left because my x is negative and down because my y is negative. So I'd be somewhere around here. And what if I had a positive x but a negative y? Then I'm going to be in coordinate 4 because I move right and then down. How about this point? Yeah. Does anyone know this is not in a coordinate, so it's not in one of the quadrants. So it has its own special name. Does anyone know what 0, 0 is called? It's called the origin. And you'll hear this term a lot. The origin. If you think about it, if I were to start drawing my graph, I don't actually usually start from there, but it kind of makes sense. I started numbering from there, going this way. I started numbering from there. I started numbering from there. And I started numbering from there on all my axes. So it's the origin of where I started numbering. Right? It's the origin of my axis. I start here and I go out from there. And then I start here and I go 1, 2, 3, out from the origin. And then I start here and I go out from the origin. Origin just means starting point. Right? And so this is my origin of starting point. Yeah. Can you wait 5 minutes? Okay. Let's graph some points. Point A, 2, 3. Point B, -1, 4. Point C, 0, 5. Point D, -2, -3. And point E, -4, 0. Okay, point A, my x is 2, so I'm going to go over 2. 1, 2. My y is 3, so I'm going to go up 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's point A. Point B, my x is -1. I'm going to go left because it's negative. And then I'm going to go up 4 because that's my y. 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be point B. And I can label them like this. Point C, 0 is my x. So I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to move left or right when x is 0. But my y is 5, so I am going to go up 5. And I'll be right here, right on this axis. So when one of these numbers is 0, if x is 0, then you're on the y-axis. If y is 0, we're going to be on the x-axis. So x being 0 kind of tells us ignore that axis. Ignore the x-axis. Just use the y-axis. D, point D. -2, 1, 2, and then -3. 1, 2, 3. That's point D. Point E, -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. So I stay right there. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 other points. F, G, and let's see, let's do H. What are the coordinates of points F, G, and H? So to write coordinates given a point,
Where's
I
it?
first count, H is right here.
Oh.
I first count how far out it is on my x, and then I count how far up or down it is on my y. So this point F I can see is 6
0.
on the x, and it's 0 up or down, so the y value is 0. Point G, 1, 2, 3, 4 out, and 1, 2 down. So 4, 2, right? What's wrong with how I just did that?
It would-
Yeah, it's not 2 because 2y means that it would be up here. So it's -2. So I have to keep track of which way I'm going as I'm writing this. My last point, H, 1, 2, and then it doesn't go anywhere else, so 2, 0. No, why not?
Because it would be 0, 2.
Yeah, you have to keep track. X means this way. Do I have to move it all this way? No, 0. So 0 is the x. And when I'm moving up, that's my y. So 2 is my y. You guys all see that's 0, 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. We're going to do something, one more thing, which is graphing lines. And again, guys, I'm hoping that this is review from elementary school. If it's not, please come, get help, ask a classmate, ask us during break, etc. All of it.
Are we gonna do the thing like for this, like when we put the dots and then like it's kind of like a trace the dots thing or like
We're not going to do that today, but we may do some of those. Okay, so this is called a T-chart. T-charts are written just like coordinate pairs. X first and then Y.
It's exactly like a pair, except instead of
Yeah.
line, it's a line.
And we form a T-chart often from a function. So if I said Y equals 2x plus 1, this may be new for some of you, I'm not sure. But all we're going to do is we're going to pick something for x. So let's say I'm going to say x is 0. And I just picked that number. Okay, it doesn't really matter what numbers you pick for x. You're going to find some numbers are easy, some numbers are harder. And so you want to try to pick numbers that are easier for you. Right? And you want to try to get numbers that are spread out. So if my x is 0, then let's look at this equation. All it's saying is y equals 2 times x. But what is x? 0. So all I have to do is take this and plug it in. 2 times 0. Remember in algebra we're going to use parentheses a lot for multiplication. So y is 2 times 0 plus 1. All I have to do is solve this using my order of operations. So 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. And so I know that y equals 1. Then I take this pair and I plot it on my coordinate plane. 0, I'm going to go over 0. Y is 1, up 1. Here's my first point. Right there. I'm going to do like maybe 4 of these. Okay, on your homework, it's actually going to tell you what x is. So, no, let's do negative 2. Let's do negative 2. So if x is negative 2, plug that in here. Y equals 2. When I get to x, I'm going to put parentheses, and I'm going to put the value that I chose for x. So y equals 2 times negative 2 plus 1. Order of operations. Y equals 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So as you can see, this is combining multiplying integers, adding integers. Remember those rules about adding negative numbers. Remember those rules about multiplying negative numbers. Y is negative 3. So I'm going to go write that over here, and then I'm going to plot it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. There's my point. Let's do one more. Let's choose 4 as our x. So one more time, y equals 2. Instead of my x, I'm going to put parentheses. What should I put in those parentheses? 4, because that's what I chose for x, plus 1. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Hold on, guys. So y is 9. My point is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It should make a line straighter. Don't be straight.
And
Straighter.
if I graph a function like this, I could then connect these points form a straight line. And this is where I said on your homework this is going to be a lot easier because the graph paper is all laid out for you. Right? It won't be quite this messy as I do. Alright, thanks guys. If you have questions, be sure to ask them.